right, a summary of the Maimer so far. Two questions. What is the meaning of Esad Kol HaDvarim Ha'ele? Doesn't have anything to the pasuk. Second question is, what is the meaning of Leimer? In this case, Leimer doesn't mean anything it means it anywhere else. To convey it to somebody else, as explained. It's not the case here. So both these phrases would appear to be one superfluous and the other one without meaning. He answered already the first question, that Eila means Gilui. Kol HaDvarim Ha'ele means that by Matan Torah was given everything which would emerge later and be revealed later. All of Torah Shebiksav, there's yet to be conveyed, dictated, and certainly all of Torah Shabbat, not certainly, but and also Torah Shabbat Peh, all the way down to a Talmud Vosik, Osir Dachadish, that a diligent student will innovate, was all given at Sinai. So that's the Kol HaDvarim Ha'ele that will emerge and be revealed later, were given now. All the Dvarim that will be revealed later were given now. As for the meaning of Leimer, it's explained that Leimer is a reference to the Asara Maimoris. So the parallel of the Seres HaDibros and the Asara Maimoris. The meaning, therefore, is that the Seres HaDibros, namely Torah, gives a kiyum, justifies the Asara Maimoris creation. As explained by Rashi, Yom HaShishi, Hashem made a condition with creation with respect to the 6th day of Sivan that justifies creation. Without the whole creation is not the purpose per se. The purpose is that creation be imbued with the likus. And that's also the meaning of Asara Hakaf, the double reference to 10 of this, the golden spoon, to correct yesterday, the golden spoon, the weight was in silver shekels of the 10 shekels, silver shekel, but the material was gold. The double expression, Asara, so the Chazal say, in the Zohar, why does it say twice 10, 10, in terms of the weight of the spoon? That's a reference to the, as we were saying now, to the Asara Maimoris and the Aseres HaDibros. And this is what the Torah was given down here over the protest of the Malachim, because the point of the Aseres HaDibros is to become one with Asara Maimoris. And it's that which gives a kiyum to all of the Olamis, even the upper worlds, as we explained yesterday, that their kiyum, the justification, is only because of the avodah of the Yid down here. Like a mashal of a binyan that is strengthened, or the foundation of a building is in the foundation, not at the top. And that gives a chizuk and a kiyum in the whole building. Now, is base. What exactly is the difference between the 10 commandments and the 10 utterances of creation? So much so that we're saying that the 10 utterances of creation require to be ratified, justified, granted existence only al yedei Aseres HaDibros, dafka to the Aseres HaDibros. Afal pi, the question is, even though sheshneihem, both Aseres HaDibros and the Asara Maimoros, shorsham l'mayla, they both are rooted above, v'yoda l'mata, and descended below. They're both expressions of a likus, of the Eibishter. So why does one need the other? To elaborate upon the question, what's Torah? Torah is Hashem's wisdom. Ankhi, rooted in the very eye of Hashem, the opening words of the Aseres HaDibros, which the Gemara in Shabbos explains to mean that the word Ankhi is a Rashi Teves, an acronym, Onda Nafshi, I myself, Ksavis, Yehovis, wrote it, gave it. Simple meaning is, I am the absolute author. The deeper meaning is explained by the Baal Shem Tov is that Ona Nafshi, I wrote myself, I myself, Ksavis, wrote myself in Yehovis, gave in the Torah. Not only is Ankhy saying that Hashem authored it, but the Ankhy is saying that he invested himself in it. And from there, the Torah says in Tanya describes at the sense from level to level, quoting here from Tanya. Until the Torah manifested various combinations of physical letters, bidyoy ala sefer, ink on the sefer, b'teresh b'ksav, in the written law, in teresh b'ksav, in scripture, v'chein b'teresh b'al peh, and likewise in the oral law. Shari Torah le b'shamayim, Torah is not in heaven, elabah b'slapshas b'seichel haneshama. Torah descends into the intellect of the soul of the human being, as his intellect of his soul is in a physical brain. And that's where a Jew learns Torah and actually rules, paskins. The rulings of Torah are made not in heaven, but here on earth by a human being with a physical brain. And how does he learn Torah? He expresses it with words. The 5 organs of speech. Very tangible thing. Relative to the letters of thought, speech, words in halacha have the designation of an action. In halacha, words uttered have significance as opposed to thought, so which means that words are tangible and physical, and a Yid learns Torah, he has to articulate the words. Literally, when a person to fulfill the mitzvah of Torah, it's not enough to read, you have to say the words. Then you think about them, but you have to articulate them. Same is true of tefillah, they have to be said. All to say that Torah descended to this physical world. And in this physical world itself, all the way down to its most tangible expressions, the most finite constructs. Yorda descends all the way down to action. As we describe now, ink on parchment, which you're learning about now in the Rambam, the laws of Sefer Torah, ink on parchment, and letters articulated in speech, in words. Furthermore, Torah descends down to the realm of human intellect to engage even false arguments that need to be exposed and addressed. And how do we protect from lying? From lies in the courtroom, in the Bezdin. The Torah anticipates them all and how they are to be addressed. So Torah is dealing with a lying, false world. All of this expresses the great descent that the Torah descends to the world of lies, to the world of falsehood, which is a world that completely separates itself, etc., from truth, from the Eibishter. So the summary of this is the description of Torah. It's rooted in the very Ankhy, the very eye of God, but descends down to a deceitful, lying, and false world, engaging it intimately. Now, this is all to elaborate on the question. What is the difference between the Asara Mambaris and Aseret Sadibris? Now he's going to explain the Asara Mambaris. And the conclusion will be the strengthening of our question. What's the Asara Mambaris? The 10 out. How does God create the world? This is ongoing. There are 10 utterances, but if you count them, there are only 9. So where are the 10? Because the Gemara says that the word Bereshis in the beginning, Nami Maimehu, that too is one of the 10 utterances. In fact, it's the first. What exactly is this utterance? What is this divine expression Kiyadu as it's known? Targum Yerushalmi and other sources. There are many explanations, several explanations as to what is the word Bereshis and in what sense is it the first, how is it the first utterance? The other ones are clear. God said, let there be light, etc. Vayedaber Hashem Ye'oin, then Hashem said there should be a division between the upper waters and the lower waters, the second one, and so on. But Bereshis in the beginning, where is the utterance? So there are several explanations. Bereshis says the Targum Onkelos b'chuchmasa. He explains Bereshis means with chuchmasa, with wisdom, quite literally. But more literally, it means chachma v'atzilus, the level of chachma, which is in fact undefined, and nebula, which is why it's not an articulated, let there be anything. It's the first primal expression of creation at its seminal level. That's what's meant by Bereshis, b'chuchmasa. Shehu b'chinas chachmila is the supernal chachma. That is the very first articulation of the creative forces. It all begins with the nebula, chachma, the spark, the seed, as it were, that contains all the future articulations that bring creation into being. Which means on a physical level that with the word Bereshis b'chachma, all of matter, gases, solids, and liquids, all that makes up the physical universe, all comes together in a swirling, not differentiated mass. And then the subsequent articulations differentiate and separate and give form and structure. Like the atomic level of all things, before they're formed into patterns of particular substances, gases, solid liquids, etc. So this is bechinas chachmila. This level, that's Bereshis b'chachmila. Therefore, it's not articulated because it's not differentiated here. Its existence in its formless potential state. Moreover, that's one pirush in the word Bereshis. Another pirush in the word Bereshis. The first, I'm sorry, was from the Targum Yerushalmi. The second one is from Onkelos. Bereshis bekadmin. Bekadmin means primal. So we're tracing back the source of creation even higher than Chachma, as articulated in Talmud Yerushalmi, but in Targum Onkelos, Bereshis has a deeper meaning. Bekadmin, primal or primordial. Shobchinas hakeser shelamaylim echad. The origin of Chachma itself is Keser, which is higher than Chachma, which is the divine will, which is higher even than the divine Chachma, which begins the actual process. We're tracing back the sources. And even higher still, tracing back the source of creation. What is it? As conveyed in the Pasuk in Tehillim. All that Hashem desired, He did. So the level of chafetz is higher, even the level of keser, which is ratzon. So we've gone from chachma to ratzon, and now to chafetz to tainuk, which is the ultimate source. The koyal yisavas ha'olamas. Here we're tracing back the very origins of creation. Hashem's desire, even higher than His will. As we've explained on other occasions, the difference between desire and will. And moreover, even the desire, the very source of creation, the very essence of Hashem Himself. Now, it's obvious that everything starts with God Himself. That's not what He's saying. He's saying that the very investure, the very power of creation, ex nihilo yesh ma'ayin, draws on Atmos directly, direct investure. It's not true of the rest of Ishtalshalos. Doesn't draw directly on Atmos. One level begets the other. It's ilu va'olu. Chacham begets bina, bina das, and so on. And Atzilus begets bria through the natural process of tzimtzum. It's cause and effect. But what he's saying now is it's not true of the physical creation. The physical creation does not emerge as at the bottom rung of a whole evolution of cause and effect of diminishing expressions of Elikus via the Tzimtzum. Not so. Creation is a direct consequence of Atzmus. As we've explained in previous Amarim recently, that to create something from nothing is not within the purview of any level of light or revelation. It must come from Atzmus, which he is, because he is from nothing, in the truest virtuous sense. Like he says in Tanya, it's the very essence of the divine emanator, the cause of all emanations. That his being is from his being. He is because he is. The Eino Olul is not a result from any cause that precedes him. It's only the very essence. That Hu Levade, famous words in Tanya, Hu Levade bekolchei v'yacholtei, only he alone has the potential and the ability livra yesh ma'ayin, to create something, yesh something ma'ayin ve'efes amuchlet mamish, from absolute nothingness. All to say that the physical creation is a direct investure of Atzmus, of which there is nothing higher, God forbid. So that strengthens our question: what is the Aseres HaDibros at? We've concluded that the very source of the 10 utterances of creation, tracing back Bereshis, Chachma, then Ratzon, and then Keser, and Atzmos, it's all from the very essence, K'may HaTorah, just like Torah. Ella, Shenishtalshul v'yordu kama v'kama madreges. But it's like Torah. Torah descended, we said earlier, all the way down to this false world, so does creation. That this force descends, this essential divine creative force descends to create creation. He's hinting to that it's Atzmos in tandem with Ishtalshalus. It's Havaya and Elokim, without going into Protim. But the conclusion is, it's not, we've just described Torah, which is Ankhy, and then descends to a false world, engages the false world intimately. In a world of impurity, in a world of falsehood, and deception, and transgression. A world that even denies God. Torah deals with the laws of Vayedaber. So therefore, in a movement, what's been understood, concluding our question, what then is the distinction between the two? The 10, the revelation of Hashem in creation, and the revelation of Hashem in Torah. Very powerful question. So much so we're saying that what gives the 10 utterances of creation their endurance, what gives creation its endurance, its justification, its kiyum. It's only to the Aseres HaDibros. Why? The world is a result of the deepest and intimate godly investure. Who needs Torah and mitzvahs? It's a very significant question, because as I've shared with you, and from your own experience, you will know, there are many religious paths, particularly in the East, that it's all predicated that the world is godly. Okay, they're actually saying the world is godly. It's Vayedaber. They're not saying that the world is a creation. They're saying the world is God. But putting that aside, that's a critical distinction. The ultimate is to tune into creation, which is divine. Okay, it's a consequence of divinity. So is Torah. What do you need Torah for? You need commandments for? Just surrender to creation, to its depth, and peel back the layers and discover God. And not godliness. Maybe to himself.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ronnie. So why Torah mitzvahs? Very powerful and very critical question, which we'll continue, Be'ezrat Hashem,